It's personal between me and you, and I'm going to do you some serious harm, you big stiff idiot.
The Untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing games are missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, this is the official Sunday post-fight review for Chris Billam-Smith versus Mateuz Masternak, and the result of the fight is Mateuz Masternak quitting on the stool after 8 rounds. Now, before we get into the fight, man, I gotta say, man, it's been a long, fun week. I'm still recovering from the bedlam and the madness of last night down here in South Florida between Rafael Espinoza and Robeisy Ramirez. Just now putting the finishing touches on that content. Still gotta watch the Devin Haney pro Gray fight and then do my live tomorrow about that. So stay tuned with that. But as far as this fight right here, first and foremost, I kept seeing fight posters for this fight the whole week, but I just didn't look at the date. I didn't realize that they were fighting this week. I didn't even realize that they were fighting on Sunday. So Boxer gives the people the odd Sunday boxing card, which, it is what it is. Listen, when a fighter wins a world title, I feel like a big moment and a big watershed moment for every fighter in their career is going to be their first world title defense, because when you become champion, there's added expectations, there's added attention, there's added pressure. You're no longer the so-called hunter, but you're the hunted. You're the guy with the target on your back that everybody wants to fight. So that's what Billam-Smith was. This is his first defense, and he didn't get a soft touch. Like, he picked a real tough guy in Mateuz Masternak, a guy with, well over, 46, 47 pro fights, fought, a lot of good fighters like Junior Dorticos and whatnot. Hasn't been able to really quite crack it at the highest levels of the cruiserweight division, but always been, a guy that's formidable, ranked, a guy that I know has been in a lot of camps with a lot of good fighters. I know Masternak has sparred the likes of Usyk and Richard Riakporhe and Isaac Chamberlain, so I know that he knows where on the block, and it was a real good fight. I would definitely say in the first 4 to 6 rounds, it was Chris Billam-Smith's hardest fight. Masternak uses experience, using his legs, the counterpunching to punch in between the high guard of Chris Billam-Smith, most particularly with the right hand. And he could not miss with that right hand. And Chris Billam-Smith did not look good early in the fight. And I thought through about 6.5 rounds, I thought to myself, you know what? If this fight gets into those deep, dark, uncomfortable places, those latter rounds, I think this might be Chris Billam-Smith's night to go ahead and be relieved of that belt. This may be kind of what Rafael Espinoza and Robeisy Ramirez was last night here in South Florida. But that's not what happened, because in round 7 and round 8, Chris Billam-Smith started to get some momentum, and he started beating up on that body of Mateuz Masternak. And you couldn't really visibly see that Masternak was going to quit. There was no signs of him quitting in the 7th or 8th round, but Billam-Smith was landing some good shots to the body. And it was, in a sense, death by 1,000 blows. And he beat the fight out of Mateuz Masternak. He winds up quitting on the stool just after the 8th round. And I got to say, I didn't have a whole lot of time to think about this fight because I didn't even know what was going on and, whatnot. But I never made a video about it when it was announced. But, I am disappointed with Masternak only because of how he fought the fight. He was fighting very well. I thought, really, after 6 rounds, I thought it was his fight to lose. And I feel like, a guy like him who's had to grind such a long way to get this title shot, he quit on the stool. I feel like he kind of quit on the stool, kind of let himself down a bit there. But then again, it's easy for me to say from the comforts of my couch, so I'm not going to talk too much. But I just think Billam-Smith beat the fight out of him, and that's just who he is. Chris Billam-Smith, we've seen it in all these fights against, I got the magazine on my wall. That's how great it was. When he fought Isaac Chamberlain, broke his orbital bone, was able to outwork him, beat and damn near killed Arnold Jojai when they fought. And now you saw what he did to Coley to win the belt, and now this. So Chris Billam-Smith, I feel, I know you got guys like Artur Beterbiev and Dave Benavidez, and those guys I think are more destructive fighters than Chris Billam-Smith, but he's developing a nice reputation for himself, I feel, over these last couple years as becoming one of boxing's most destructive champions. I don't think he's like in the class of like Subriel Matias or Benavidez or Artur Beterbiev, but the way he fights, like, he doesn't have like the most like quote unquote boxing skill in the world. He's not the fastest guy in the world, but he just beats you up. So some guys just know how to beat you up. It's like I was watching hockey earlier. I was watching the Florida Panthers game earlier on. Shout out to the Panthers. They won earlier. But it's like when I watch sports like hockey or basketball, you got some players that can't skate the fastest, and they don't have the best wrist shot in hockey, or they don't have the best jump shot in basketball. But they just know where the net is. They know how to score. They know how to put the puck in the net. They know how to put the basket in the net, right? So it's the same thing with Billam-Smith. I don't think he's the fastest. I don't think there's anything he does particularly flashy, but he just knows how to beat you the fuck up, and he's done it again. So much respect to him on making that first world title defense. And now he's in an interesting place because the WBO is expected to call it mandatory for him soon. The mandatory challenge for him is expected to be none other than Richard Riakporhe. And as many of us know, they had a really good fight for the British title back in 2019. And Richard Riakporhe beat Chris Billam-Smith. He's actually the only guy to give Chris Billam-Smith a loss. Chris Billam-Smith is not an undefeated world champion. So I know that's got to be a fight that CBS, the real CBS, wants to take because, again, this is the only man to defeat him. And Riakporhe, I think, has one of the best straight right hands in boxing. Like, it doesn't get talked about enough, but he's got a beautiful, long, straight right hand. Turns it over real nice and gets a lot of torque behind it. And the way Chris Billam-Smith likes to fight, it's his stance is kind of like open for straight right hands. So Chris is very adamant that he's not the same fighter he was back then. And the only way to show it and to show that it will be different is that they fight next. So personally, for me, that's the fight I would like next. I know that contractually speaking, he has a Lawrence Okolie rematch and he's obligated to that. I think Lawrence got beat up. It was a one-sided fight. Chris beat him pretty handily, and I think that Lawrence needs to focus on rebuilding some things and drilling in some more habits with Sugar Hill Stewart. Take a fight to get some things right with Sugar Hill, and then come back better. But yeah, Riakporhe versus Chris Billam-Smith 2 for the title. Sign me up for it. I'm all for it because I always talk about in boxing that I want to see young fighters square off and fight each other, and then later on down the line they could fight for the title. Well, guess what? This is actually that scenario. So I would like it to happen. I think it's a good style match, but I think the British boxing public would definitely come out to support because there'd be a good backstory to that fight. And look, Riakporhe, as talented as he is, and with the win he does have over Billam-Smith, he hasn't really, like, I think sometimes he can get lost in the shuffle because, like the guys like Isaac Chamberlain and Okolie and Billam-Smith, they've all been fighting each other, So domestically, as talented as he is, I think he needs that big fight still where people are paying attention, and I think that could be the fight for him to really put him over and make him the kind of fighter that he's capable of being, which is a world championship caliber fighter. So yeah, that's the fight I want. Shout out to Chris Billam-Smith on staying very determined and game and just disciplined with the aggression he had towards Masternak. Masternak, this is gonna be it for him. And when the going got hot and shit got hot in there, he got out that kitchen, and Chris Billam-Smith made him quit on his stool. So make of that what you will. I saw Michael McKinson fall on the undercard. I didn't get a chance to watch this fight, but I saw he won. So good win for him to end the year, and hopefully better things for him in 2024. But yeah, leave your comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just from Daniel. So until next time, take care. Thank you for watching another video on the untouchable True School Sports Empire. For more great boxing content just like this video, click right here and make sure you subscribe. Much love from sunny South Florida.